Welcome back to your Tobago Thursdays on the Now Morning Show. Our next conversation is going to be focusing on Tobago's response to dengue, which definitely has been a main point of conversation, not just here, but throughout the Caribbean region. Ricardo Bob, Public Health Inspector 4 from the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection, joins us. Good morning, Ricardo.
Good morning, Natasha. It's really a privilege to be here. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
It's a privilege to have you with us this morning. How are you doing?
Well, I'm wonderful. It's really bright and sunshiny today, and so it's a good day to do lots of work.
Absolutely excellent. Sunshine definitely can propel us to do wonderful work. Now let's talk about the work right now when it comes to the response to dengue in Tobago. What is the status of the public health involvement?
Well, we are in the environment all the time. We have perifocal workers that are doing surveillance, going to premises every single day. We visit every premises in Tobago, all households, public buildings, looking for what we call foci of ADs. And when we meet any, we will actually do some treating. The treatment is usually a chemical treatment. And of course, a lot of health promotion, educating householders in terms of how they can prevent the spread of dengue by removing the water sources, because the mosquitoes love water. Once there's water, the mosquitoes are going to lay their eggs, and within about 10 days, you're going to have some mosquitoes. So the key thing is to have the community do their part. Also, we do what we call residual spraying as well. People can request it, and we will go to your homes and we will spray to keep that down. And of course, we do flyers, making sure we educate people in terms of how to identify breeding sites, those flower pots and those vases and the brick holes. We've even seen breeding in the reducer for that from the 4-inch pipe going into your vent pipe for the toilets and so on. We've even found breedings in bear cap covers, snack wrappers, anywhere that water can hold, the mosquito is going to breed. If there's no water, mosquitoes can breed. And so
Ricardo, you just mentioned snack wrappers particularly, which now can take this conversation to, we also need to not just be careful about leaving open vessels, for example, but even when it comes to something as simple as litter, can contribute to the rapid rise in mosquitoes throughout the nation. Tell us yes, what services are offered by the Division of Health, Wellness and Social Protection when it comes to alleviating the spread of mosquitoes.
All right. Well, you can call 639-1433, and if you have any derelict material, we will come and we will take it up from your premises for you, anything that can breed mosquitoes. Besides that as well, in terms of the sanitation, we also provide sanitation services in terms of taking up the garbage and so on. And that is important. But what we ask the householders, the residents to do is to play their part in make sure that you secure it. I'll give you an example. In my own street, I will go out in my street and I will take them up personally, because all of us are responsible. I think most times people think the authorities have to do all the work, but there's an important aspect called the community participation.
Now, as you mentioned, particularly community participation and how critical it is to really anything within society. What is the response right now when it comes to the community ensuring that we have a reduction in that which can cause the spread of dengue?
Well, that's a really good question. Just last weekend, we had a community partnering with the public health department, and they organized themselves to clean up, and we provided transportation to move the stuff from the community to the landfill where we would normally take care of that. And we want to say commendations to that community. I just want to say, Belgarden, shout out to you. You guys are leading the way, and we are encouraging. If your community can organize itself, we are going to provide the support in terms of the transportation and the movement of all those derelict material. We call them white waste, because this is an important part of what we call source reduction.
And let's speak about that, this path to source reduction. Can you give us a little bit more insight into what source reduction is and whether or not the services are fully provided by the division?
All right, great. Now, source reduction looks at removing those breeding sites, especially that people have around their premises. For example, the old stoves, the old fridges, the old microwaves that people have around, sometimes old drums and buckets and so on. We want to remove those because they have the possibility to hold water that could be breeding sites for mosquitoes, and people tend to overlook them. Now, a lot of people I know, may have sentimental attachment to some of those things. It may have been your first whatever. But you can call us at 639-1433, and we will come to your home and remove it. Now, besides the calling to the home, we actually go around the island every day, and wherever we see them on the side of the road in the communities, those things are going to be taken up and taken to the Studley Park Integrated Landfill Facility. Source reduction is a big thing. We normally would do what we call a white waste campaign as part of our mosquito eradication program annually. But even outside of that, if you just call and you have those old buckets and so on that can hold water, we will take them away for you. And the thing about it is that there is no charge. This is part of our service that we offer at Public Health. Let me just share one more. Now, we do have a program that can look at in some situations where there is a dire need. There are some people who may be using barrels. We encourage them to cover them. But we do have what we call a barrel replacement program, where people who may be below the poverty line, they may be using barrels where there is a subsidized barrel replacement program. We take the barrel, you must have barrels using it, and your situation must be dire. So it's not a free for all. And there's a subsidy that you can get a 400-gallon water tank as well.
Excellent. See, there's such a great response in preparedness as well. Now, what about education? You did mention, of course, that there'll be flyers going out. There are some sorts of campaigns. But when it comes to actually getting access to the public and sharing this information, do you have that access, or are you using different platforms to be able to reach and share this knowledge?
All of the platforms have been used. Any group, if we're talking about church groups, sports group, community groups, every group we use, every media platform, because we want to keep this upfront and personal, because dengue is actually everybody's business. I don't know if people understand, but I got dengue a few years ago, and I tell you, the pain is not easy. It's one of the worst pains you're going to feel. As a matter of fact, dengue is called break bone fever, and literally it is, especially the pain in the back of your eyeballs. So it's a very debilitating illness that I would not want anybody to get. So we need to take these things seriously. And so we want to keep it upfront. So every media. One thing I want to mention as well is that you would have heard that notices can be served under the Yellow Fever Act, and the fines are pretty hefty. Listen, we will be serving notices if people don't comply. So folks need to understand we are actually putting it out there. You can prevent the spread of dengue. You can protect yourself and protect the ones that you love, your neighbors, and don't necessarily cause us to have to serve notices, because we are supposed to be a cooperative people and we are partnering in the response to this illness at this time.
And definitely. Ricardo, how can persons protect themselves from dengue, aside from, of course, just ensuring that the areas are free from any vessels that could hold water?
Well, like any viral situation, number one, you must ensure that you have a good immunity, and that has to do with how you live. Yeah. But folks, you can have bed nets. You can have bed nets to prevent, the mosquitoes from biting you, especially at night. Many people have windows, and you could put up screens there. You can actually have your mosquito repellents and so on. Those are very important things. But most of all, when we're dealing with the Aedes aegypti mosquito, it's called a domesticated mosquito. It loves people. The mosquito wants a blood meal. And if it's in the forest, it may have animals out there. But because we have extended our environment and so on, the mosquitoes like to breed around us. So what we want to do is to eliminate the breeding sites, break a link in the chain of the multiplication of the mosquito. So when you have no water, even though the mosquito may lay its eggs, the eggs can hatch. Bearing in mind that those eggs can survive dry conditions up to a year. So if you have, those flower pots, you didn't fill up the block holes, the rails on the holes for the rails on the step, you need to fill them up. Put some sand, put some dirt in them. Be careful when you go out. Make sure that you have put your repellents on. have your bed nets, and just be very, very careful. Preserve, protect the environments, and most of all, cooperate with those who are there to help you, like the public health department. When the folks come around to check your premises, don't be angry. Cooperate. Remove all the derelict material that is accumulating. When we request that we do some spraying, if we have a dengue case, cooperate so that you would not be able to get dengue, because we are in the business of prevention.
Definitely. Ricardo, we just have about 30 seconds left before we end our conversation. However, before we get to that, where can people get more information on cleaning the environment?
All right. So now I'm going to give you the number, and I'm going to be brave to do a thing. You can call 639-1433. That's our reception area, and a wonderful young lady will be there to take your information. And we are going to come and take the derelict material, the white waste, the old stuff from there. So 639-1433 is the number that you can call. If you call, remember, a lot of people may be calling, just call back, be patient.
Yes.
And we are going to do it. And if you see one of our workers doing their normal duties, you can give that information to them as well. They will bring the information in, and we will clean up for you.
Wonderful. Well, Ricardo, thank you so much for joining us this morning. All the best to you and your team as you continue to have a great response to dengue. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Natasha. Have a blessed day.
You too. Ricardo Bob there talking about Tobago's response to dengue right here on the Now Morning Show. Stay tuned. We've got your birthdays coming up right after this.